Hey, Mike, what's wrong?
I just went to the doctor the other day. Turns out I have a brain cloud.
Hey, you know what? You should go on a trip.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the movie simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Our podcast is available on all platforms with a backlog of over 200 episodes for your listening pleasure. What's up?
No, I told you I've got a brain cloud. I'm dying.
Right. I don't know why I keep thinking brain fog, but right. They say brain cloud right down the middle, right down the middle of the brain.
Oh, that's what's interesting, Joe. Other than that, you're perfectly healthy.
Is that your Robert Stack?
That's my Robert Stack.
He has like the perfect voice for anything.
Yes.
Although, like, we know him. I mean, you know him from Unsolved Mysteries, right?
Isn't he also the pilot in Airplane?
He is.
Yeah.
But do you remember Unsolved Mysteries?
I know Unsolved Mystery, but whenever I see him, all I think is, you like Gladiator movies too?
That's not him. That's Peter Graves.
That's Peter. It is Peter Graves.
That's in the second one too. He's the first one. They call him at the house, and they go to pick him up.
Right.
And, and his wife's sleeping with the horse.
Yep. He's the one that's stuck down.
Yeah. All right. So we are doing Joe versus the Volcano. I think this was your pick.
This was my pick. Yeah.
Right, okay. I don't know if I put it on the list though, or if you did.
I don't remember who put it on the list.
Who cares? Let's get to the facts and let's get to what we thought about the film, as we like to do with each and every episode of Forgotten Cinema.
And I know you guys love it.
Joe versus the Volcano has a runtime of 102 minutes. It's rated PG, which kind of surprised me a little, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
Production budget was $25 million. It came out on Friday, March 9th, 1990. So it's an old one for some people out there. Opening weekend, it was $9 million. Domestic and worldwide are the same total of $39 million. So that doesn't mean it necessarily didn't come out internationally. We just don't have any of those numbers.
When movies are usually that old, you don't know.
Very
you
true.
don't get those numbers.
Absolutely true. Production company was Amblin Entertainment, and it was distributed by Warner Brothers. Said it came out on the 9th. So let's drop back a week to the 2nd. March 2nd, you had in a wide release, The Hunt for Red October. Awesome film. I'm sure you like that movie.
I hate that.
Oh, really?
I'm just
like, really? Really?
Podcast over.
So that was the only film that came out that week.
Vidanya.
Oh boy. No, they don't speak. They speak Russian very quick, very briefly.
You're just at the beginning.
Although
that is over.
That movie always has because they often do this in films. They'll sometimes show you them speaking in the language, and then they'll transition to English so that they admit that they are still speaking.
They're speaking Russian. We're just going to have them
right.
speak English. Yeah.
And they do it in a way in that film that is one of my favorite ways of doing it. I think we talked about it.
We talked about that in our Valkyrie episode.
Yes, absolutely.
Season 1. Go check it out.
I think that's episode 5 too. I think that's
it's really early.
Yeah.
That might still be where we were doing it in your kitchen. It might be.
I don't know
early.
because I thought we only did a couple in the kitchen because it sounded so bad.
We switched over pretty quick, but
yeah. You're right. I think the whole season was in the kitchen, right?
A decent chunk of it. Yeah.
I remember Sphere. It was so echoey. Oh, it's so terrible.
Well, Sphere we did it in our boss's office.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
But the Burbs, we had that apology in the beginning.
Yeah. Burbs was like, sorry guys, it sounds like crap.
You go back and listen to our Burbs episode, which is episode 1, our pilot. Well, no, Sphere was the pilot. So episode 1, you'll hear us. There's an apology in the front of it, like a disclaimer that say like, hey, we didn't know what we were doing here. Which makes me laugh because I think I always said to you when we started the podcast, people want to see you grow with your podcast. So I think if you listen to that and then you listen to us now,
you can definitely see the growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's great because, nobody's perfect. Anyways, March 9th, the week that this movie came out, Joe versus the Volcano, you had a wide release of Bad Influence. I don't know if you have seen that.
No.
And a limited release of House Party, which is a movie we did in season 2. But I don't remember like these slate of films when we did that movie.
I don't remember Hunt for Red October being talked about, but I think you mentioned Joe versus Volcano.
I said limited, so maybe this was limited when we did House Party. I could go back to the notes, which are on my other computer. Maybe that was a wide release we covered.
Maybe, yeah.
The week after, the 16th of March, which is also my sister's birthday, you had a wide release of Blue Steel, Lambada, Lord of the Flies, and The Forbidden Dance, and a limited release of Nuns on the Run. See all those? I'm sure you saw Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies, the other ones I have.
Yeah.
I've never seen Nuns on the Run.
Nuns on the Run.
That sounds like
Eric
a
Idle.
joke. That sounds like a joke movie.
No, it's fun. It's Eric Idle. It's pretty fun. It's a British film. Blue Steel. You never saw Blue Steel? That's the one with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen all of Blue Steel. I know of Blue Steel, and I've definitely seen scenes, but I don't know if I've seen the whole thing.
Gotcha. All right. This film was written and directed by John Patrick Shanley, who's directed Wild Mountain Time, and Doubt. He also wrote Doubt, and he wrote Moonstruck and Congo. He actually won the Oscar for Moonstruck for writing, and he was nominated for Doubt.
He didn't win the Oscar for Congo?
No. That's why I put
Apple.
Apple, green, apple, drink, grape, let's go. Yes, run. Yeah, same thing. Same thing. Oh. Cinematographer was Stephen Goldblatt, who was nominated for 2 Oscars, one for Batman Forever and the other for Prince of Tides. And he also was in he did The Help, excuse me. Composed was George Delarue, who won an Oscar for A Little Romance. He was nominated for Agnes of God, Julia, The Day of the Dolphin, and Anne of the Thousand Days. There you go. Peter Gordon was also another composer on this film. He is more notably known as an orchestrator, and he did the orchestration for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I always screw that title up. Edited by Richard Halsey and Kenneth Wamberg. Halsey has won an Oscar for Rocky, and he also did Edward Scissorhands and So I Married an Axe Murderer, a movie that we did way back when.
Season probably
single-digit
4 or
seasons.
5, yeah.
Yeah. Kenneth Wamberg has done Jurassic Park, Catch Me If You Can, and Minority Report. I believe he was a music editor on most of those.
We also did Minority Report. Check it out.
We've done a lot of films, clearly. Produced by Terry Schwartz, who's done Sister Act and Life with Mikey. So this film has Tom Hanks in it as Joe, early Tom Hanks, the movies that he doesn't like to talk about.
Yeah.
Butler, he has been nominated for 6 films for Best Actor category.
Ooh, that is nuts.
He won 2, and I know you know the 2 he won, right?
Forrest Gump.
I'm missing one of these movies. I take it back. No, he was nominated for
another one as well.
Yeah, he was nominated for 7. Give me the ones he was nominated for.
He was nominated for Gump,
which he won.
He was nominated for Philadelphia Story,
which he won. Philadelphia.
Why do I always think it's called Philadelphia Story? Is that because
there's movie? Yes, there is a movie that has that subtitle.
Okay.
There's an older film. It's called The Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you won for Philadelphia
and Forrest Gump.
He won for Forrest Gump
back to back.
As probably nominated for Saving Private Ryan.
He was. 2 of them. Okay. What's up?
Was he nominated for the stupid?
Stupid. We're like where this is going.
The ship captain one.
No.
Okay, good.
I am the captain now, Captain Phillips.
Was he nominated? Tully.
Oh, for no, he was not. So he was nominated for a movie that was the year after Forrest Gump. I've always said this. It's great that he won for Philadelphia, but he didn't win for a movie that he should have won for. Then that was the year after Forrest Gump. We've never lost an American in space on which we're not going to start now.
Apollo 13.
Yes. Okay. So now there's 3 other movies you got to get.
That's 4.
Right. One is one of his earlier films, and the other is a more recent film. So I'll give you that. They're on the wide end of the spectrum. Early Tom Hanks. So early he was young in the movie. And then he got old in the movie.
Oh, Big?
Yes.
He was nominated for Big?
That's what I said.
All right. I didn't know he got nominated.
I didn't either.
I didn't figure a movie like Big could get nominated.
I really don't want to go back and look, but it said it was nominated. Okay, so you got that one. So what's the most recent film he was in?
Oh, the Mr. Rogers?
Yep, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And now one more. The movie we talked about, I think last week or the week before, about how the director left. They shut down the film so the director could do another movie, and Tom Hanks had to lose all weight.
Oh, Castaway.
Yes, there you go.
I can't believe he didn't win for Castaway.
I mean, whatever. I don't even know what he
literally carried the movie on his own.
Wilson won. All right, so enough of Tom Hanks.
Wilson should have been down for Best Supporting. That's a crime.
But Tom Hanks only played one character in this film. Meg Ryan is in this movie. Played three characters, Butler,
Yep.
Dee Dee, Angelica, and Patricia. And Angelica and Patricia are kind of related. She's also in When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, and City of Angels. Lloyd Bridges as Granamore. He's the man that signs up Tom Hanks for this crazy thing he has to do, which is jump into a volcano. Bridges is from Airplane, Hot Shots, and the movie Blown Away. Robert Stack, who we talked about earlier, Dr. Ellison, nominated for an Oscar for Written on the Wind. He's also in 1941 and the TV show Unsolved Mysteries, which I already brought up. Abe Vigoda, as only listed as Chief of the Waponies from The Godfather and the TV show Barney Miller. Dan Hedaya as Mr. Waturi, who is Joe's boss in the movie in the beginning of the film. He's in Clueless, Commando, and the TV show Cheers. Amanda Plummer as Dagmar, who obviously blinking. If you don't know, it's her. You know what I mean? Like you see her and then she's like, wait, is that Amanda Plummer?
Yeah, it goes away.
She's in Pulp Fiction and The Fisher King. Ossie Davis as Marshall, who is the limo driver that kind of guides Joe before he goes away to the island. He's in Do the Right Thing, Grumpy Old Ben, and Bubba Hotep. And then you had Nathan Lane in there a little quickly. So if you didn't notice him there, you could tell.
I was like,
Carol Kane, real quick, is in there as well. As the hairdresser that cuts Joe's terrible long hair, which
yes, disgusting.
My note about that is like Tom Hanks with long hair is not. I don't like it at all.
The whole time I'm watching the movie, I go, wait, he cuts it, right? The poster shows he cuts it. I can't take him seriously until he cuts it.
So you had never seen this film.
I've seen this film.
Okay, you've seen this film recently?
Not recently.
Okay,
this is one of my mother's favorite comedies.
Really?
Damn, I'm gonna say it like that. I guess I know how you think about this movie. She used to quote it all. She still quotes it a lot, like a lot of different things. So I remember I watched it when I was younger and I liked it. Like it's fun. I guess a little slow at the beginning. So I mostly remember a lot of the older stuff, but I probably haven't seen it since I was much, much younger, probably early teens, if not like maybe before that.
I don't.
Other than bits and pieces.
Right. So, well, what'd you think then?
I really like this film.
Okay.
Not as a comedy. I like it as like the philosophical questions that they're looking at and the theme of the movie. I always talk about on this podcast how the theme of a film is everything in a film. If you don't have a theme, you don't have a story. If you think you have a story without a theme, then you don't have a story. And if you don't have a theme, you don't have a movie. And I think the theme is the most important thing about this movie, and it does it really well. I like the fairy tale aspect of it. The lines are really good. I mean, I don't think this is a perfect film. I think there are things that could be changed a little bit. I actually don't like the ending, and reading the notes, I've learned that they changed the ending. I actually prefer the ending that they have written that like they apparently had already filmed. I would have liked to have seen that ending.
Well, okay. Well, explain that then before you go any further. So talk about what happens in the movie, and then talk about what the original ending is.
So the original ending, for anybody who doesn't watch these movies, we spoil them. So
I'm tired of telling people.
Joe and Patricia. That's her last character, right? It's Patricia. Yes. Yeah. Joe and Patricia jump into the volcano. They get spit out.
Right.
Back into the water.
Amazingly.
And suitcases come up, and they're like, "Oh, well, what are we gonna do now?" And it's explained, well, by the way, we might have survived the volcano, but I'm still dying. I've got a brain cloud. And she's like, a brain cloud? You didn't get a second opinion? And then he goes, well, this doctor. And she's like, oh, that doctor actually is my father's right-hand man. And they must have been a setup. And it's just like all of a sudden, a lot of exposition
to end the movie
on.
Yes.
And it's just like, what? Whereas in the original ending, they get saved by Tweedledum, because the original ship is the Tweedledee that sailed to the island. The Tweedledum comes, picks them up, and
so wait, they don't even go up on the volcano.
They do go up, and they still get spit out of the volcano.
Okay, that still happens.
But instead of her just exposed like a ton of exposition, they're on the boat. The doctor, quote unquote, aka
Dr.
Ellison, aka Granamore's right hand man, are on there, and they hold them at gunpoint and basically say, "Listen, you were supposed to die. This has all been a setup." Joe is able to escape off the boat. The boat sinks again, leaves Granamore and Dr. Ellison on the suitcases themselves. Whereas the ship doesn't sink. They get sent overboard. And Joe and Patricia kind of sail into the sunset, I believe, from what I read, without trying to look at my notes too much. But either way, they're there. The plot is exposed as opposed to just all of a sudden this exposition dump from a character that wasn't even there for the whole thing.
Right.
then we just kind of have to take her word for it.
And the island still
kinda
sinks
prefer
into
it.
the ground and all that stuff. All
Supposedly, but you do see that Abe Vigoda's character has survived, and he shouts at Tom Hanks' character Joe. You know, I kept my soul, because he had his soul as the chieftain was in the doll, and Joe says, I think I kept mine too.
Right.
As they sail away. So
you prefer that ending?
I prefer that ending. I think it's more poetic. I like the soul thing at the end because the whole thing is about soul searching and stuff like that. It's a better ending than what we get. I think the ending kind of sours the movie a little bit.
The ending that we have.
The ending that we have, yeah.
So now, why did they give you a reason in your notes why they didn't go with that ending?
It didn't test well with audiences, which is weird.
They're all really important.
Yeah, which is weird that the ending that we got tested well, because it's just so.
It might not have. They might have went back and changed it and never showed it to anybody else.
And just were like, screw it. This is it.
They could have done that.
Yeah.
Just run with this. Yeah. Yeah. So this film for me, I like it, but I don't know. I have trouble. Like, why do I like this film? Do I not like this film? Maybe I don't like this film. Like, I always go back and forth with this.
It's a really weird movie.
Right. I think my first note when it started watching, my first viewing note was like, I was getting a lot of Terry Gilliam vibes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And like
American Periscope.
Yeah, exactly.
And Terry Gilliam also, if you guys don't know, directed the movie Brazil, which we also covered on this podcast.
Indeed. Good job. Nice callback. You know, so you have to almost, I don't want to say ridiculous or ludicrous or anything like that, but it's surreal. The whole movie is surreal. And I don't know if, you know, he goes to that job. And it's obviously just like, why are you working? Like, it's so like ridiculous, like that kind of thing. But I don't know if the rest of the movie matches that ridiculousness or that surrealistic. Not enough. I mean, obviously the ship going down, that you always have the imagery of the same lightning bolt image, like, as they're walking to the lightning bolt, when they walk on the pathway,
crisscrossing the path of life or whatever.
But when they go the pathway to work, the lightning bolt come down. It's the same. You see that same image all over the
pathway going up the volcano.
You just see it all. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the answer to this, so I'm not supposing that this is the answer. I just don't know if it matches the tone of the beginning, the atmosphere. I know it is ridiculous. They go into the volcano, it shoots them out. Like, just moments. I'm just saying on the whole, I don't know. Again, I'm only just putting it out there. I don't have an answer, and I don't really, I'm not standing on a soapbox here saying like, it's not this. I just don't, I haven't been able to I've never been able to fully process this film for 40 years. Or 30 years. So, you know, I'm just, I mean, maybe I'm way off. I don't know how you feel.
I think I would agree with you in some, like, I think a lot of the LA stuff isn't surreal enough. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Meg Ryan's character of Angelica, she's kind of ridiculous, but I don't know if LA is kind of surreal enough for his adventure, because he's on these adventures. I'm okay with New York and the taxi driver being, because that's kind of more like a storybook, very kind of like Paddington Bear, kind of going on an adventure, the limo stuff. I'm okay with that because the whole thing's a fairy tale. It's a storybook. When they get to LA, it's very much like realistic. Some of the boat stuff is too, but also I kind of like the boat stuff because you get to have moments with him and Patricia that are kind of work.
Yeah, her crew is like just like these regular dudes, and these women are just kind of.
They should be a little wonkier, maybe. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Maybe that's where I'm kind of, as we talk through. Maybe that's. I want you to pick that lane and go with it, that kind of thing.
But they don't really matter much.
True, you're absolutely right.
The thing that I thought was weird is they don't matter much. But then you name what's her face's character, you name Dagmar, Amanda Plummer's character. So why name them if they're that unimportant?
I don't know.
Which in the original ending, also you find out they did survive. They get picked up by the Tweedledum, so they didn't die.
But see, here's the thing: like, because we don't have that ending, they die.
Absolutely,
and so do all the Waponis. So this movie has a huge body count.
Well, the Waponis still do, other than the chief, they all do die.
Yeah.
But the Waponis deserved it because they are all too. They don't pass the test that Joe passes of no longer being fearing death and embracing it and embracing his life. The Waponis fail that, so that's why they die.
Orange soda too much and all the.
Well, yeah, they're afraid. They enjoy life too much, or they pretend to. But that's why the chief survives, because the chief already says he would do it if he could, but because he's the chief,
he can't. He's trying to find.
He's not allowed to.
He wants somebody to step forward of his own people.
Correct.
Right.
But I do agree with you. Like, I don't care that Waponis die, but I didn't even think about that. Yeah, everybody on that boat dies because of the ending that we have.
Because you don't know. Yeah,
you don't
just
know.
have
You
to
have to
assume they're
assume.
dead. Yeah. I know, even though the rules, if you don't ever see them, like when you're watching TV, if you don't ever see the body, you're never really dead. But still, we have to assume that in this movie.
Rules change when you're in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. So the Waponies. So we're talking about the Waponies. Inappropriate?
I love the Volcano.
I know, but like
inappropriate. I was thinking, I knew this was going to come up, but
because it always comes up when we talk about
nowadays, absolutely. But I mean, it's explained that they're Roman Jews who were shipwrecked on that island long ago.
Then it's fine.
I get that. The other thing is, I always remember for some reason in my head that it's not Abe Vigoda. I thought it was Mel Brooks. I always think it's Mel Brooks who plays the guy because it's a very Mel Brooks type joke.
That's Tessio, my man.
But I love when they go to pick him up and they're singing Hava Nagila and but it's in this weird island language.
Yeah,
it's just so stupid. It's and I don't think it's insulting in any way. It's not like it's dumb. It's not like you're doing some kind of weird like Jewish caricature or, you know, I guess it's a little islander
as you said,
but
they explained it.
Yeah. And like the orange soda bit, that's not a stereotype that anybody has for island people or Jews. So it's I think it works. It's funny.
I was trying to see what it was called because I thought it said slurm, but it was a jump or something like that.
I didn't read the can.
Jump.
Yeah.
I think it was like that.
It's all the tall cans too.
Of course, they don't make those. Well, they do make those now, but they're just more expensive. They're about as expensive as the 20-ounce bottles.
Bottles, yeah.
Even though those were 20. Remember, those would be 24 ounce. Now they're 20 ounce. They're thinner.
They're thin now.
What a rip off. I mean, honestly,
shrinkflation, man.
It's so.
Welcome to our new podcast called Shrinkflation Sucks. If I open a bag of potato chips, I want that bag to be full of potato.
You're paying
chips.
for 40% air, pal.
I'm okay with more crushed potato chips if I get more potato chips.
So John Patrick Shanley is a playwright. He's a writer by nature. So this film is obviously you enjoy the dialogue. And the movies that I mentioned are, you know, Moonstruck is a well written film. Doubt is based on a play. I want to say he wrote the play, but I don't know. So I don't want to.
Very different kind of movie than this movie.
That's a great film. This film I can see very much being a stage play.
Yeah, apparently they did a musical. I don't know if it needs to be a musical.
I mean, not everything. Whatever. I'm just saying stage play.
Right.
But there are visual elements in the film that I enjoy. Like I actually like the Manhattan skyline when they're on the ferry.
Oh, I love that. That's one of my notes.
And all the lights of the buildings are all different colored. And then they follow that right up when he goes to it's his apartment.
That's his apartment. Yep.
And they're outside his apartment, and each window has a different color light in it, so they actually keep that theme a little bit. So those are the two standout visual elements that I remember from the film. I don't know if you had ones that.
Well, those are my notes. I love that. I really like the look of the building, the hallway to the coffee cups,
the where his job is,
the
home of the rectal probe.
I'd have to go back and really look, but I'm pretty sure it's got like a perspective thing where it actually is wider and then thinner as you get toward the coffee cup, which is again very Terry Gilliam, but very like depressing and like the lights are like disgusting.
Which
it's really
Brazil
well done.
Is mid 80s and a lot of the Terry Gilliam stuff and a lot of the Monty Python stuff is in the 80s. So Shanley could have been influenced by that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
And they have very similar themes of like that oppressive nature. So that's kind of like how it was in vogue back then to represent that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I love the volcano. I like the look of that volcano. It's very Temple of Doom. The lava is very like fake lava.
Yeah.
And the smoke is going up. It's got like the basically like the pool plunge that goes into the volcano.
But then you also start diving into some, no pun intended, but you start diving into some not CGI but digital plate or mats and plates and stuff like that.
Right,
so
yeah.
you start having those elements of obviously that's not there, it's not together, especially when they're walking up the wide shot. Obviously when they're at the volcano, so that stuff kind of like it's dated a little bit and you kind of sense that.
Yeah, but I kind of like that.
No,
it's like you don't see that anymore, so it's fun to see.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also really like the constellation shot when he's dehydrated when they get shipwrecked.
The moon,
when they see the constellation, it's okay, but the moon is awesome. I love that shot. I love his line when it comes up, "Dear God, like if you exist, whatever,
yes.
Thank you for my life. I didn't realize, and seeing the world, I didn't realize it was so big." Like
that line there, like, so one of my notes is that he changes. I understand that when he gets the brain cloud diagnosis, he kind of like his life shifts and stuff like that. But like the first 15 minutes of the film, he is a completely different person than he is in the rest of the film. And he does a complete 180. Is that too quick for you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's a man who learned he's got 4 months to live. And from what I gather, he was a little bit more like that because we learned that Joe was a firefighter, not just like a hero. But the stress of that job and the near-death situations eventually turned him into this meek person. So I imagine Joe was a little bit more like this person 7 years prior, because he said he retired 7 years ago as a firefighter. So I don't think it's that crazy to assume that he'd kind of switch back on. And it's kind of earned, like he's mad at Waturi. He's got that giant Waturi monologue, which is amazing. That's like the one scene that I always remember from the movie. You know, he's talkative and stuff, but it's not really until toward the end, you know, after he meets Marshall, the limo driver, after he talks to Angelica and talks to her about, you know, suicide and death. And then he meets Patricia. I think there's still stages. Yeah. He's definitely more open, but I don't think also the Joe we meet at the beginning, I couldn't stand a movie for more than 20 minutes with that version of him.
What do you think of the decision to have Meg Ryan play those 3 roles? I think she was supposed to play a 4th one too, and they didn't do it. What do you think about that?
I like it. It's very fairy tale. It's very surreal.
They bookend it with when Dee Dee holds his hand and she doesn't open her hand when they held. She keeps it as a closed fist. And at the end of the movie, Patricia holds her hand out as a closed fist and then she opens it. So they do kind of bookend that. Like Dee Dee's not related to them.
Right.
But I didn't understand. I mean, I guess I get it. It kind of hits home when she plays Dee Dee. So you have that stuff with Patricia at the end. I don't know if
I don't know if you need her playing Dee Dee.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know.
I think it works in like a surreal kind of way because it's like the woman he has eyes for the whole time, I guess. But I think you could switch it to just, I do think she should play Angelica and Patricia. I like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she needs to play Dee Dee. Although if you added a 4th character, maybe Dee Dee would make more sense.
My thing is, if you're going to do that, why not do it with the other? Like, so why not have Dan Hedaya play the chief of the Waponies? And so he's like the bad, you know what I mean? Like, why don't you do that with some of the other?
That's true too. That would have worked really well.
Because it's almost like Joe is a byproduct of the people and the atmosphere and the environment around him. Like, it's not so much like, yes, Joe can change, but like all of us, you know, we still need that support system around us. We still need the people around us that are supporting us. And sometimes we're in situations we're not being supported and we just start feeling like, well, maybe I'm not worth it. Like that kind of thing. So, I mean, I think that goes to, you know, the saving of your own soul. And I think it's not just as easy as like, you know, I'm going to save my soul. You know, you do have to have the support of, you know, people that will be like, yes, how can I help you? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would have worked. If you did a stage play version, that's absolutely how you would do it.
Totally.
Yeah. You would double cast almost everybody.
I think you should. I think you definitely hit Hedaya. And then I mean, maybe one of the other Waponies you can have be like if Nathan Lane was the Waponi at the, he's the one that's singing the most, obviously.
Nathan Lane should be Marshall.
No,
or Marshall should be Nathan Lane.
No, okay. Because I was going to say Nathan Lane could be one of the other guys in the office, like just kind of like a mopey guy. Like I'm saying the differences.
The second guy that he takes the paper out of the printer.
Dee Dee is so different from Patricia. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were talking about lines of dialogue you liked.
Right.
I actually like the dialogue that happens the night when they catch that ridiculous hammerhead shark, which looks like a Muppet, and I'm good with that. When she talks about Patricia talks about, I don't want to be one of those people who walks through the world asleep, but I want to live in total amazement. You know, she just wants to live, like that kind of thing. Like she just wants to, I like that message quite a bit. So that was
right. Yeah.
You know, that kind of, and again, it goes back to what we're talking about with support system and somebody who is positive influence on Joe in his life and just kind of like his outlook. And he's obviously a positive influence on her kind of thing. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes to the director, John Patrick Shanley, said he started to experience something called Weltschmerz.
Oh, yeah. No, I have no.
Beforehand.
Yeah, Weltschmerz.
So I guess that's, according to Wikipedia, it's the literary concept describing the feeling experienced by an individual who believes that reality can never satisfy the expectations of the mind, resulting in a mood of weariness or sadness about life, arising from acute awareness of evil and suffering.
Depression.
So it's depression, but depression caused by
a form of it.
Like realizing that the world isn't great. And, especially in his case, a lot of it is about how you're going to die. And part of it is accepting that you're going to die and not trying to fight it is what causes you to actually live your life and break free from that kind of feeling.
But it's also, I'll take the other side of that. People end up finding meaning in stuff that is, you shouldn't find meaning in, like getting to work every day at 8, working to 5. Like, my routine is my life.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
I think you run the risk of, equating that euphoria of like, doing what, thinking you're doing whatever you need to do to kind of survive. You're just doing stuff that's menial that you shouldn't do.
I get that. I don't necessarily completely agree with how he goes about, like, it's not like accepting death, but not being afraid of death. But he's more about accepting it. I think more that at the very least, you should not be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Don't live in fear of that shadow.
Yeah. So, this movie was produced by Amblin Entertainment, which is Spielberg. So of course I have more notes about Spielberg being on the set, getting involved in stuff. Like, Steven, come on. Next week's movie is the same way. So I guess the only note I had was the only major issue he had with the production was that scene when Joe leaves the doctor's office. Yeah. That one long shot where he's petting the dog. And then you notice that same kind of dogs everywhere throughout the movie.
Yep. Great Dane or whatever it is.
He didn't like it because Shanley didn't shoot any coverage.
It was done in one shot.
And for those who don't know, coverage is just you do a couple close-ups and medium shots and stuff like that so that you can, if you want to change it up and make the scene a little more kinetic, you can fix it. Like a lot of times when you watch, it's called B-roll footage as well for some people where you're doing an interview. Like if Mike and I are talking, blah, 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 we're talking about something and we mess up and Mike has a B-roll footage of me walking down the hallway. He might put it there.
Or I cut to a close-up because the wide shot and you don't notice that I cut a line of dialogue.
Exactly.
That's what happens.
But then they did that. They shot it. And then when they went to go edit, it was like it didn't work. So they went back to the original one shot. You know what I mean? Like, I guess.
I mean, you do what your boss tells you, but.
Totally. You got to stand firm at some point. I mean, I would have just been like, no, it's one shot. I like it as one shot.
I like the one shot. The one shot is nice.
One shot. I would shoot a whole movie in a one shot. If people who know have worked with me, when we do features and shorts and stuff like that, I would just do a whole thing in one shot. I just like it. It's a lot easier to edit. That's not why I like it. But I like the action playing out on the screen. So there is cause for that.
I'm a bit of a flibberty gibbet.
Oh, God. All right.
I don't like. I like her character, but I don't really like. I don't know.
Okay, but do you like Meg Ryan?
Yes,
you do.
Meg Ryan's good.
Okay, but she is kind of like a. Even though we're coming upon the 90s, we're like in the late 80s, early 90s, where she is just the rom-com queen kind of thing.
Right.
Her acting style, or her character style is very quirky, like very like scatterbrain, quirky, talks fast, that kind of like, that's her.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking of, what's the movie with Ben Stiller? Was it Ben Stiller when they're trying to break up the couple? Is that the movie? Is
Ben Stiller did a Meg Ryan movie?
No, I don't think he did. What's the movie? Not Ben Stiller. She's in a movie where she teams up with the boyfriend of another person to break up something.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
in New York City.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember the name.
Like, I remember that. Like, obviously IQ, When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle. Like, that's kind of like her thing, to the point where like I just watched her in a movie that she directed with David Duchovny that she's in, and they're like, it's almost like it's very much like an indie, not an indie, but like almost like a pandemic movie because they're in one location and it's just them. You see other people, but so it was her directorial debut, or it was a movie she directed, and again, she was the same kind of way, that kind of like offbeat, quirky kind of. So that's like her thing. So like that matches with this character that you're that.
It might just be the voice. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I think it works. I like her better as like, I think she works well as Dee Dee. Well, Dee Dee was kind of giving me Audrey vibes from Little Shop
without
of
the
Horrors.
voice.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And then like that meekness.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think, I mean, it's not really super quirky. I don't think Patricia is overly quirky and weird. I think Patricia, I mean, she's got like, I guess she's quirky. I was gonna say she's got quirks. Like she's bossy. She knows what she wants.
Yeah.
Which is a conversation they have where like she believes in herself.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think that's a stronger character. I don't know if she's like.
Patricia's the character that he is with at the end. He falls in love with.
So like I don't mind that. I just think Angelica is definitely more of a. I guess she is the surreal part of LA, but LA itself, the location, what goes on, isn't so surreal.
I'm surprised. I mean, I know you say Granamore comes back in the end in the original ending that they cut out. I'm surprised we don't see him more in the film.
He's just got the one line.
Yeah.
Although he makes it a good entrance.
No, I love when
great lines.
I love when he comes into the room. He comes into the room. He's like, needs a little work. He just
puts the hole through the wall.
The cane into the wall. Yeah.
Which in Joe's apartment, though, he's got a crack in his wall. That's another.
We got the zigzag crack. Yeah. Zigzag. So while you mention that, I'll bring up some reviews because they mentioned that. Film critic Glenn Erickson wrote, "The zigzag crack represents both the fear we humans need to overcome and the circuitous, detour-ridden paths our lives become when we don't aim straight for the truth. Like the absurd walkway leading to the hellish Panoscope factory, we instead walk Joe's crooked road of doubt, cynicism, and fear of life itself. Joe versus the Volcano wants you to shuck off your zombie rags and stop being a pod person."
Yeah. I mean, that's a very wordy kind of.
Coming at the end of the 80s, too.
Cloudy
like
kind of thing.
You know,
yeah.
The yuppie 80s and whatnot, which I kind of think.
This is like an answer to?
No, well, I mean, I was trying to relate this to now. I would think that we've kind of already come out of a decade of a little bit 80s like in terms of just kind of like grinding and you know, hustle culture, all that stuff.
I think there's still some. I think now it's like splitting up, but yeah, there's still.
I think we're turning the corner a little bit, but yeah. So you're all right with that? You're all right with that stuff?
I think it's a little like the way he wrote is a little like trying to be snooty kind of like thing, but yeah, no.
Circuitous, detour-ridden paths, Butler.
Yeah. But I do agree. I think that's what it represents, obviously, because that's the path to work and that's the path to, you know, not where you want to go. I like his line where he's like, you want to write that straight. Says what? The straight shooting toward whatever?
Yes.
I like that. That's probably true.
Here's something you won't like. Vincent Canby wrote in his review, "Not since Howard the Duck." That's already starting off well.
Whoa.
"Has there been a big budget comedy with feet as flat as those of Joe versus the Volcano? Many gifted people contributed to it, but there's no disbelieving the grim evidence on screen." He's not a fan. Not a fan.
First of all, whether you like this movie or you're not a huge fan of this movie has fantastic dialogue, or at least great lines, like single, well-written lines, and a theme. It is
You're big on the theme tonight.
It is. The theme is 90% of this film.
But you came out saying that all movies should have a theme.
All movies should have a theme.
Right.
But sometimes the lead is buried or they don't have a theme.
Sure.
Comparing it to one of the worst movies ever made is like, come on.
Howard the Duck, the worst.
Come on. Also, made. I think it is true that I think a lot of people try to look at this as a straight up comedy, and I don't think it is. Like, I think that's why I appreciate this movie more now than when I was younger. Even like watching separate scenes when I was older, watching it as a whole movie now, I appreciate it more because I look at it. It's got comedic moments. It is a comedy, quote unquote, but it's not. You're not watching this because you're watching, you're not watching a Tom Hanks movie like Big or Turner and Hooch. This is not that kind of a film. This is a lot more of a.
I can't watch Turner and Hooch again.
Well, because the ending. But other than that, this is not those kind of.
You're depressing me.
Not those.
Why don't we talk about
comedies.
Jurassic Park from Futurama?
No, never. We will never mention Jurassic Park.
If you don't like animals dying in movies and TV shows, don't watch the two things we just said. So why are we saying this is forgotten then, Butler?
I think people need to relook at this movie through a different light. I think it was poorly reviewed back then. Tom Hanks has done a ton of stuff. He hates any movie he did back in the day.
He hates everything. I mean, I guess it's like Splash is extremely problematic, but yes,
he disowns all his comedies.
I like the Money Pit.
The Money Pit's great.
I like some of the early stuff. I don't mind Dragnet. Don't crap all over things that I enjoyed.
He's a serious actor now.
Come on.
But yeah, I think that hurts it because he's obviously not going to really talk about it. I think the poor reviews, and I think it needs to be looked at in a different light. I think that people need to look at this more as a fable. It's teaching you a lesson. It has through funny lines and great dialogue. But I think that it's not necessarily a comedy. So when you go in with that view, you're going to, I think, come out a little disappointed. Like, why didn't I laugh more? Like I think that helps or hurts it. But I think that certain people should go back and watch this.
I think it's this film is tough for people to kind of latch onto. Like you said, they're not going to go. I don't think of the early stuff they're going to watch. They're going to watch this, and I don't think a lot of people like this film. I think a lot of people like this film. Where it's like a cult classic. So it's.
I think it's become a cult classic, but I think that if people go back into the film, they might like it more.
I don't know. I don't know if it's too offbeat for some people. Like
I do agree. I wouldn't recommend this to just anybody.
Right.
I think you have to have an appreciation for the subject matter. I think you have to have an appreciation for maybe, like you said, plays where
writing,
the themes in writing, where it's all more front and center.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to watch this as like your replacement for an Austin Powers. If that's what you're looking for in a night, like a Saturday night
comedy's
movie,
more broad.
Yeah. If you're looking for that, you're going to be disappointed by this movie. That is not what this is. But if you're someone who also kind of feels down about life or, is looking for that kind of like push to go out and do something or try something, like I think this is a great movie with a great message for that. But I don't think it's for everybody.
I think it's a tough movie for people to get that message in the first watch. I think it's a movie that it's like
maybe
you need to watch it a couple times to really appreciate what you're talking about. I think in the beginning, if you watch it for the first time now, obviously, because it's 30 something years old, I think people are going to, they'll be like, it's okay. But they're not going to go revisit it. I think to get like the true meaning of a lot of stuff, I think they need to watch it more than one time. And I think that's tough because that's tough for you're asking, especially now when there's
so much content.
Yes. I mean, there's like this movie, I should look, but this probably was in theaters for a couple months. Like there's but now this movie comes out, it's gone. It's gone in 2 weeks.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And not even like just eliminate streaming out of your mind. Like eliminate that. Movies would still come out and disappear if they weren't making money because they wanted to get them straight to DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that's definitely a thing there. So, Blu-ray. It actually is out on Blu-ray. I don't know if you own that.
What? Oh, this
the movie. Yeah,
I did see that. Apparently, the remaster is well regarded and well reviewed. As like it looks good.
Looks better. Well, maybe because we watched it, how we watched it, and I want to say it was 1080. So I don't think I got
like a 4K.
Yeah, anything like that. So, but it's also who knows how they got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I saw this for cheap, I would pick it up. I would definitely like to watch this again as an adult, like a second time.
You're an adult now.
That's what I'm saying. This is my first adult watch through, so I would kind of be curious.
Sure,
not right away, but a little bit down the road, a couple years from now, like popping it in and seeing if I catch up to stuff.
Sure. Did Elise watch it?
No, I wanted her to watch it with me, but
you gotta cut her loose, man. Yeah. Not in that way, but cut her loose in terms of movie watching ways.
Well, I watch this on my own.
What's that?
I watch this on my own. She's gonna be mad when she finds out that I watched Super 8 on my own again.
Listen,
because she likes Super 8, and I was like, well, I had to record.
You have to watch it for the show.
Yeah,
I mean that's just what it is. Whereas my wife, she's like, "What are you doing Super 8?" I go, "Yeah." She's like, "Did I see that?" And then I explain it to her. She's like, "I don't remember." I'm just like, I don't even want to bother with you anymore. Where can they find us? Tell the audience how they can get a hold of us.
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or wherever you're watching or listening to this now. Obviously, give us a thumbs up, a like, a listen, a subscribe, a comment. All that stuff helps the show grow. Obviously, YouTube, any podcast platform. We're all over the social medias.
We're all over.
And we have a Patreon. Join it. It's free. You'll get access to our Discord where you can talk movies with us, or if you feel so inclined, you can donate to the higher tiers of Patreon, subscribe to those, and you get exclusive access to episodes like our lead up series. We just did the Planet of the Apes movies. We've done Roadhouse, Ghostbusters. We're about to do the Alien series all summer long. Actually, when you're listening to this, we're probably doing some of the Alien movies right now, leading up to Alien Romulus. Check out our Now Showing episodes. We do review newer movies as well now. Those are called Now Showings. They're also available on YouTube and all the podcast platforms. And if you really want to help support the show, you could also buy some merch in our merch store. All those links are in our description. But honestly, the thumbs up and the like and subscribe really help our channel.
That's a mouthful now.
We got a lot going on, guys.
You can now. Yeah, that's it. Whatever we were saying. So join us next week. We're actually going to be, Butler kind of already talked about it. We're going to be doing Super 8 from 2011. A nice summer film. So I'm curious what our thoughts are on that one when we get to it. But yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.